Story time. There's a story in here, I promise. Let's talk a little bit about the yamas and niyamas, or the ethical practice guidelines in yoga. The five yamas, or self restraints, include ahimsa, or nonviolence, satya, or truthfulness, asteya, or non stealing, brahmacharya, or non excess, and aparigraha, or non possessiveness. The five niyamas, or observances, include saucha, or purity, santosha, or contentment, tapas, or self discipline, svadhyaya, or self study, and Ishvara Pranidhana, or surrender. The two that I'm going to talk about today that most resonate with me are the Yama Aparigraha, or non possessiveness, and the Niyama Ishvara Pranidhana, or surrender. Aparigraha means non possessiveness, non grasping, non hoarding, not clinging. At its heart, this principle invites us to release attachment to possessions, to outcomes, to experiences, to roles, to identities, and to trust that we already have enough. In yoga philosophy, attachment is believed to be a major source of suffering and mental disturbance. When we grasp or hoard, we create fear of loss and comparison with others. Ishvara Pranidhana means that we surrender to something greater than our own ego, a divine consciousness, higher intelligence, source creator, higher self, dharma, truth, God, whatever resonates with you. It is the observance that there are higher forces at work in our lives, a divine orchestration, and purpose in all experiences for our growth and evolution. For yoga teachers, it might look like teaching without attachment to validation, to practicing without attachment to progress, trusting the process to unfold however it unfolds, rather than serving the ego and self optimization. So, how do these two principles show up in my life? Well, my mother grew up in a poor community in East Providence, Rhode Island. Her home was the last in her neighborhood to get indoor plumbing, and I remember her saying how this caused her so much embarrassment growing up. She hated being poor. So after she married my dad and they started getting this income, and he started providing for the family, she started to collect things. I wouldn't say she was a hoarder per se, but she liked nice things and kept things neat and in order, but she collected lots of things. At the end of her life, she had a little bit of a QVC addiction. She just purchased more and more things and never really used them. They just kind of piled up. And when she became ill in her elderly years and needed to move to assisted living, she couldn't take these things with her. And this caused her great suffering. And I witnessed this suffering. And I was also a participant in it. Although we gave a lot of her things away, the more valuable things I couldn't even part with. Her china that she purchased in Germany when she got married to my father, her Hummel collection, which I thought I could get some money for, but it turns out they're not really worth that much money. And her Native American jewelry collection, which I did end up selling. And I kept several pieces too. I also kept sentimental things that she saved or that held special nostalgia for me, such as pieces of furniture, artwork, and other items from childhood. So I attached emotion to things. The point is that losing these material items caused her suffering, and me taking them on burdened me and caused me suffering from being overwhelmed with too many things. So it was after this experience and through, my own spiritual journey that I came to my own realizations about how attachment to things causes suffering. But it isn't just limited to things. We also get attached to people, and it's hard not to as humans, really. I've had my share of heartbreak and attachments to past loves, and even attachments to how I envision these relationships working out. And this caused me great suffering when things didn't go as planned. This is part of the human experience. I survived. I'm sure you've survived. We learn, we evolve, oftentimes the hard way. But had I known about these principles at the time I first experienced intense heartbreak, maybe the endings of other relationships may not have been so hard. So when we allow life to flow and move rather than holding on to things or people or trying to control situations or, you know, hold on to identities, we practice aparigraha. And I do think this goes hand in hand with Ishvara Pranidhana. When we release attachments, we also surrender. This observance relieves the pressure of the need to control everything. It introduces trust, grace, receptivity, and humility. Surrender allows me to relax my nervous system. It helps me reframe any fears of failure. It increases clarity and loosens grasping. These principles remind me of how deeply committed I can be while still letting go of how things will turn out and trusting the process. I can hold space without gripping, offer something without attaching to how it's received, and trust that there's a higher power at play beyond what I can see or control. I can show up fully and be devoted to what I'm doing without needing to control how it all turns out. And this brings me back to my core values of trust and authenticity. It feels very aligned with how I want to move through life and the spaces that I hold for others. It's not always easy to practice in reality, but I have acute awareness of my attachments. Trusting the divine is easy when things are going well, and more challenging when life throws unexpected curveballs. But gratitude is something that always can bring me back. So I try and allow the people in my life to be themselves without trying to change them, to recognize that everyone has their own path, and I don't need to compare my path to theirs or be envious of anything that they have or successes that they've achieved. I've learned to be more generous and not hold on to things or money so tightly. When I give my time, my energy, my support and attention to people, it's because I choose to do so and because it's aligned with my heart, rather than because I expect something in return. I am practicing aparigraha in daily life when I practice gratitude and focus on what I have rather than what I think I'm missing. I practice it when I declutter my home and release possessions and things that no longer serve me. I practice it when I release attachment to outcomes and accept how experiences in my life play out. I'm practicing aparigraha when I donate my time, energy, money, and resources to others. I chose to talk about aparigraha because it is something that affects me every day. This is something that I am working very hard at reprogramming in my consciousness. We are constantly told that there are things that can make our lives easier by buying this gadget or that tool, or so it seems, right? There's so much demand around us to consume more and more, and it's how we're raised. All the advertising around us, you need this to make your life better. It makes us think that we need more things. But what if we didn't get the thing? What if we lived more simply? I find the more things that I have, the more I feel I need to get rid of. Things weigh us down. Accumulation of stuff and attachments in relationships. Those have been my greatest challenges, some of my greatest challenges in life. So I'm aware and conscious of it on a daily basis. I even had a spiritual encounter about it a few years ago. I received 3 psychic messages in a row that it was time to declutter and clear space in my home, and that time was of the essence. And I was like, okay, okay. I even hired someone to help me. Within a year of those messages, my current partner moved in. It was like I needed to make space to bring his energy into my life. So I chose to talk about the Niyama Ishvara Pranidhana because it supports me in my spiritual and healing work. It allows me to let go of perfectionism, to trust that my offerings reach who they're meant to reach, and allow uncertainty without me immediately trying to fix it or figure it out. It helps keep me focused on alignment rather than whether I'm doing enough. It helps me build a deeper sense of purpose in my work that isn't tied to outcomes or ego. It supports my personal discipline by balancing effort with ease, something that I'm continually working on. I show up to practice, I create offerings, I do my work, and I commit fully, but I release the attachment to outcome. I focus on showing up, not getting it perfect. In terms of daily practices, I can reflect on it in my morning routines of journaling, of coffee, setting intentions to offer this day to something greater than my fear, greater than my ego. I often say, allow me to be the best channel for the divine to work through. In yoga, I can reflect on offering breath, offering movement, instead of evaluating my practice. In work, I can give my full presence while releasing how that is received. Ishvara Pranidhana directly impacts the nervous system. It reduces anxiety rooted in control and fear. It creates emotional spaciousness, allowing me to be less reactive when things don't go as planned. Acceptance has been key to my growth and evolution. It also eases burnout in my energy practice. I am not the source, I'm the vessel. Life feels more guided and purposeful. So I chose this niyama because it both resonates with my core values and I can always improve upon it. It's central in my work as an energy worker. In healing, it's critical that we remove our ego from the facilitation of the healing. It's not Jen the human doing the healing. It's a force with a divine intelligence that knows exactly what to do and the best way to do it. Mixing in my ego can actually interfere with the healing process. But together with Aparigraha, these principles remind us that we are not here to force our way through life, but to participate in it with presence, with devotion, and with an open heart. And when we can soften our hold and trust the unfolding, we create space for something deeper to move through us, something wiser than effort alone. How does Aparigraha and Ishvara Pranidhana show up in your life? Feel free to share in the comments. And if you'd like me to share more about any of the other yamas and niyamas, let me know. Namaste.